The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Care Tower presentation of Surviving the Attack, an insight into how to manage any security breaches that you may have. A little about myself. My name is Paul Coady. I am the Cybersecurity Program Manager for Care Tower. My role within Care Tower is to help to manage cybersecurity improvement programs and also advise our client base as to best practices with respect to latest threats. My role is not as a product advisor, my role is one of a risk advisor with product knowledge. I have approximately 25 years experience in the IT industry, of which 15 years has been spent primarily with financial services. Over the last 10 years, I have been involved with cybersecurity and specific IT security with a specialism in risk management and practical deployment of security solutions. To set the scene for our presentation, we need to understand a little about a few security events that have happened over recent months. In July 2015, a hacking group called the Impact Team stole much user data from ashleymadison.com. ashleymadison.com, for those who are not aware, are a website which provides facilities for people to have extramarital affairs online. They demanded that the website shut down. When their demands were not met, on the 18th and 20th of August 2015, the group leaked more than 25 gigabytes of company data, which included extensive user details, credit card details, bank details, and the like. As you can appreciate, for the users of this service, that was very embarrassing, and it was very, very much a personal intrusion. More recently, TalkTalk have been in the news. A major telecommunications company in the UK with over 4 million customers. They were the subject of a denial of service attack. TalkTalk as an organisation were quite transparent and open about the fact that they had been hacked, and that is to be held up as a very positive thing that they have done, a positive step that they have taken. However, a lot of the issues that they experienced were not in the fact that they openly admitted to having an attack, but the fact that they created uncertainty by not giving clear messages to the public. So, for the first two, we can understand why an organisation may wish to attack them. But many, many times when I am dealing with clients and talking to their CIOs and their CFOs, they give me a repeated statement: we are below the radar. Who would want to attack us? And I think this third example illustrates quite clearly that nobody is below the radar. A Scottish hairdressing business based in Glasgow with a number of high street shops had its website attacked. This in turn meant that its database was compromised and encrypted using ransomware. A demand was made to pay 1,000 euros in bitcoins through a third party to allow the system to be unlocked. The company decided to pay because it could not afford to lose the business, could not afford to lose the data. But unusually, they also reported this to the police and went public. The Institute of Directors, an organisation built to protect the interests of small businesses, says that one of the biggest threats facing its members and their customers is cybercrime. So, what went wrong? And what should these people have done? What's clear is all of these organisations had some sort of threat management in play. From the largest to the smallest, the threat management that was applied was proportionate to their size and also to their customer base. So in the case of Ashley Madison, they take credit cards extensively, which means that they have to comply with financial services compliances such as PCI DSS and also many other North American and Canadian acts. In the case of TalkTalk, they have to deal with the Data Protection Act, Information Commissioner's Office, PCI DSS, and also FCA regulations. What became clear, having looked at all of these cases, is that none of them had a full understanding of their end-to-end environment. Okay, so what should they have done? What needs to be clear is that security must be layered using technology, process, and procedure. It is not enough to rely on a firewall or a SIEM system to provide your protection. You must provide your protection as multiple layers, which also involves people, process, and procedure. The other thing that must happen is you must regularly test your approach. This all sounds common sense, but you must also test your approach aligned to the latest threat vectors. You must have an awareness of how the threat landscapes are changing. 10 years ago, none of us would have thought about a DDoS attack. Now, the landscape is evolving and it's evolving as we speak. We must take steps to remain current. What are the likely impacts to a business after a hack has taken place? On day one today, all of the companies that we've mentioned have suffered material damage to their finances. Their customer base was reduced for various reasons. The brand damage was significant, even to the smallest hairdresser. Also, in the case of two of the companies, their share prices suffered significant falls. In the case of TalkTalk, in the days immediately after the hack, they were seeing double-digit falls in their share price. In the future, after the dust has settled, we can be certain that there will be some form of regulatory penalty. You may see card acquirers penalising the companies with punitive increased transaction fees, which can have a significant effect on the bottom line of the business. You may also see data protection penalties, which have increased substantially with the latest European Data Protection Act. This legislation now takes the fines that can be levied to companies in line with their turnover, rather than the small punitive fines that have been in place of late. So, to understanding your environment, it's absolutely vital that you have a clear understanding of your information assets. You need to understand how you would classify those information assets, how sensitive they are, and that will give you a risk profile as to how you will need to secure them. You need to understand how they're currently protected, both physically and logically. Physical is fairly obvious. You have your firewalls, You have access controllers, you have VLANs, you have DMZs, you have all sorts of technological controls. The logical separation is when we get into the application and database layers. How is your software environment protected? Have you got a secure software development lifecycle in place? Are you pen testing regularly? Are you encrypting your data? This isn't an exhaustive list. Indeed, this is just skimming the surface, but it's some of the more common factors that people will take into account. What is absolutely clear as well is that you need to increase your security around private information. Private information in this context is any information which is sensitive, may impact your customers, or indeed may contain commercially sensitive information, intellectual property, etc. When we talk about this, traditionally people will have a three-tier environment. Within that environment, you start from the perimeter of the internet, you introduce a DMZ, and then you have an internal network. The firewalls on your perimeter will take care of the vast majority of attacks that you are going to receive. They won't take care of them all, but what is clear from that is if an attack has got through your firewall, that means that the people who are orchestrating that attack are very well organized, very technically savvy, and have the skill set to challenge the security vendors who are there to protect you. Therefore, it's vital to have extra layers of security that will delay any attacks from reaching your data. Coupled with this, it's always wise to adopt an approach which provides early identification of threats. It's great to have all the technology, but if you don't have the information analyzed in a red flag event manner, whereby certain triggers will alert people to the fact that they have some sort of attack going on which needs to be attended, if that is not present in a timely manner, what we end up doing is closing the stable door after the horse has bolted. And this in itself is not a good position to be in because your data has already left your organization. To that end, one of the ways to mitigate this is to ensure that you have contracted appropriate skills to manage these threats. Now, when we say contracted, what we're talking about is the engagement of appropriate skill sets within your organization or having contracted a third party to provide those skill sets. One of the difficulties with cybersecurity is that the skills that are required are continually evolving, but the use of them in an individual organization is actually quite limited. An average organization will now be hacked in some way many times a day, but significant attack such as witnessed at TalkTalk is actually a relatively infrequent occurrence. That being said, if you are relying on internal staff to provide those skills and those updates, the issues that you face are, how do you keep your staff current? How do you keep them sharp? Indeed, how do you keep enough staff at that skill level that when an incident does occur, you can ensure that you have cover? One of the ways that organizations are addressing this at the moment is to use third-party SOCs or a hybrid of managed service within a SOC and their own services. The third-party SOCs are able to effectively monitor your services. By doing so, they can spot the symptoms of any potential attack coming in. They can then manage that threat, contain it, escalate it to you as an organization, And also, because they have the scale of staff, they can add extra staff to the management of that security incident on an as and when required basis. These services are also provided 24/7, 365 days a year, and are generally seen to be the most cost-effective way of managing your security alerting. Okay, going back to TalkTalk, I've already alluded to the fact that their communication may have been their failing in the handling of this event. What is absolutely key when you have a security breach, you have to have a plan for who will speak, who they're going to address, and what they're going to communicate. The person who speaks must be very calm, very adept at public speaking, and also must talk with the authority of the organisation they represent. One of the things that TalkTalk failed to do when they were communicating was to be accurate and specific. There were many occasions where I observed personally in their media reporting phrases such as "we think," "we believe," "it is indicated that." One of the things that the public are looking for when a security incident such as this has taken place is a confidence level that the company who have suffered the breach are in a good position to understand what data has been accessed and also what remedial steps they need to take in order to make remedial actions effective. In the case of TalkTalk, they started by saying, "We believe we have had a major incident." Over the next few days, we found that the incident was far less severe than originally thought. This had the effect that whilst they were recording that it was a major incident, many of their customers were voting with their feet and walking to other suppliers. By the time it became known that it was less severe, those customers had already gone. So, in short, the message is be accurate, be transparent, and deal only in facts and not the conjecture that has been listed. Black Friday is upon us. It affects everybody, not just the retailers. Why do I say this? Last year on Black Friday, there were a number of documented security incidents with major multiple retailers. These incidents are also set to continue this year based on the intelligence we have. Why didn't we hear about them? Quite simply, these retailers had taken steps to actually protect themselves against any potential activity on Black Friday. Now, this year, we are led to understand that certain hacktivist groups are planning denial of service attacks. These groups are targeting groups, sometimes on religious beliefs, sometimes on the products that they sell. The reasons are wide and varied. So it is essential that retailers are and do prepare to protect themselves against such attacks. But I've said here that it affects everyone. Why? We used to have denial of service attacks, which was an attack against a victim from one location, typically run by the hacking group. We then moved to distributed denial of service, DDoS, where there were several locations targeting a victim. More recently, the trend has been that the hacktivists and the hacking groups will drop malware into computer environments that have high compute power but low security. Now, these environments tend not to be in the retail sector. They tend not to be affiliated or aligned in any way to their end victim. The reason why this is important is if you are not a retailer, this could be you. If you are attacked and used as a source point of a DDoS attack on Black Friday or any other day, what this means is you yourself will experience an outage, your customers will receive an outage on your internet presence, and also you could be investigated for your securities because the attacks were launched from your area. Did you have due diligence in place? Now, it's not too late. We can help you. There are a number of ways that you can protect yourself from Black Friday attacks. There are a number of ways that we can help you to protect yourself even if you are in the middle of a breach. I think the important message here is do not think it will not happen to you. Plan for the attack. If you are in the middle of an attack, reach out for help. We can help you. So, my last slide, sensitive discussions in sensitive times. If you have any concerns surrounding security management, information protection, endpoint protection, intrusion detection, DDoS, the list goes on, please contact us for a confidential discussion. We can arrange an initial discussion with myself or one of my colleagues. Your account managers can certainly help you to attend to that. If you are not a current CareTower customer, please call our sales team. Again, they would be more than happy to set something up with myself and my colleagues to discuss your initial needs. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for attending this webinar and for listening to us. We will be presenting several more webinars over the coming months and several more lunch and learns, and we look forward to seeing you on both of those type of events. Many thanks. My name is Paul Coady. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me with the details given with this webinar. Many thanks.